America is not a racist country.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Van Dyke is back in the news. And they were trying to see if they could bring him up on federal charges for the killing of a child by the name of Laquan McDonald. Remember, he pumped 16 bullets into a child and he barely stayed in jail for 3 years. Okay, for that. Well, it's the usual news that we always get out of America. There will be no federal charges in Laquan McDonald's death. This is the typical thing that America does. Nothing new. Federal authorities on Monday said they will not criminally charge Jason Van Dyke, the Chicago police officer convicted of murder. And remember, he shot Laquan McDonald back in 2014, and it took a while before that video surfaced. So, the U.S. Attorney Office in Chicago said a news release. Um, they did a news release and they made a decision after consulting with McDonald's family, and the family was in agreement not to pursue a second prosecution. Well, the family is stupid. You should keep going after this loser. According to the release, prosecuting Van Dyke on federal charges would have been much more difficult than it was to pursue him on state charges. Yeah, but y'all didn't give him hardly any time. And see, the judge had a lot to do with why he got such a little sentence. Okay. So, because of the burden of proof is far higher, federal prosecutors would have to prove not only that Mr. Van Dyke acted with a deliberate and specific intent to do something the law forbids, but also that his actions were not the result of a mistake, fear, negligence, or bad judgment. Trust me, it was a deliberate act. Laquan McDonald was walking away from him. He was no threat. All right. It requires federal prosecutors to prove beyond a reasonable doubt with Mr. Van Dyke was, what he was thinking when he used deadly force and that he knew such force was excessive. It's amazing how you can't get a white man on charges and it requires so much. And oh, you may not get it, you can't pursue it. But a black man, y'all have damn near no evidence and you put him in jail for decades. Van Dyke, who was captured on video shooting the teenager 16 times, was convicted in Chicago in 2018 of second degree murder and aggravated battery. It sentenced him to 81 months in state prison. And you remember his wife did all that fake crying so he would get moved to a federal prison, which he had no business being in because that crime happened on the state level, not the federal level. So he should never have been in Club Fed at all. The former officer served less than the sentence before he was released in February. Civil rights leaders, community activists, and others were angry about what they saw as lenient sentence that had called for a federal prosecutors to charge Van Dyke again. Well, as you can see, they're not going to do anything. This is typical of how things are done when cops do stuff in America, you know? So a cop is charged far differently than someone in public that would have pumped 16 bullets into an underage child. McDonald relatives weren't immediately available for comment Monday, but an aunt Tanisha Hunter denied to the Chicago Times that her family had been made aware of the federal prosecutor's decision to drop the case. So his aunt is saying that they weren't even aware of this. So who knows? But I do know these folks never tell the truth. I'm upset. She told the newspaper, "That's all I can say." How can they say that? We're the ones who should make that decision, not someone else. We're talking about his mama, his grandmother. That's crazy. Other relatives disagreed with the possibility of federal charges. After the news broke earlier this year that Van Dyke would be released from prison, McDonald's great uncle, the Reverend Marvin Hunter, said that while he thought Van Dyke should have received a much longer sentence, he did not want to see Van Dyke charged in federal court. I remember that interview. In fact, I had it on my video, and that was a while back. If you set this precedent of reconvicting people because you don't think he got enough time, then hundreds of thousands of black men in Illinois alone could be harmed, Hunter said at the time. They will use this case as a way to keep them incarcerated. This is a backdoor to perpetuate slavery. We should be very careful of this kind of precedent. The U.S. Attorney Office statement Monday suggests another prosecution would not satisfy critics, and that even if Van Dyke were convicted again, a federal judge would consider factors such as the time he has already served and his good conduct behind bars that led to his early release. Given these factors, there is a significant prospect that a second prosecution would diminish the important results already achieved, it read. The office of the U.S. Attorney, John R. Lurch, I'm sorry, it looks like Lash, um, also pointed out that not only will Van Dyke never be a police officer again, his arrest and conviction. He was the first Chicago officer in a half a century to be convicted for an on duty shooting. That doesn't even make sense. So he's the first officer in 50 years that you convicted? How is that even possible? Oh, this system is so rigged up. This whole place needs to go. This whole place needs to be dismantled. And the same people running it now don't need to be nowhere near leadership positions. Okay. Today, for example, the video of police shootings must be released within 60 days. Chicago fought for months to prevent the release of police videos showing McDonald's killing before a judge ordered the city to make it public. Also, Van Dyke name was not made public until he was charged in McDonald's death more than a year after the shooting. Today, while the police still do not release an officer's name who hadn't been charged, the agency that reviews those shootings does. Well, this just go to show you it's never going to be enough when it comes down to these officers, former officer, it doesn't matter. They always get a far lighter sentence than the average citizen will get, and that's the way they intend on keeping it in America. We know how the hell, I bet you if somebody pumped 16 bullets in an underage white child, that person would be in jail for life, if not up for the death penalty. We know that. But this piece of garbage is out. I mean, he spent less time in jail than a black man convicted of a crime he didn't do that's sitting in jail for 40 and 50 years and no crime was done. The system is criminal. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.